Firstly, understand that it's inherently bad for a startup, for small businesses who obviously have a lot of risk, exactly because they're startup and normally very novel ideas because of two reasons. I think firstly it's because these investors who actually opt into startups have a very low liability. Exactly that's why they opted into these startups. They do not understand that like this startup, if it dies down or if the startup like goes to waste, like these people who work at these startups will lose jobs because what they see that this is a potential opportunity. And if they use LLCs, what's going to happen if the startup fails? It does not affect them as a foreign investor, and that's why they're likely to invest into this startup. When you invest into a startup and you're a startup owner, that is when you as an individual feel like your idea is good. It gives you a lot of full confidence, and then it's something likely to be very reckless, especially when a foreign investor is somebody who opts into a business who you probably see as somebody who's very valuable, right? But B, understand that these startup investors are probably going to be very low responsibility, exactly because they have a lot of businesses they opt into. Exactly when there's a low risk of you opting into a business, that's when you have a lot of incentive to opt into a lot of businesses. But even if they want to care about the startup, they literally cannot, exactly because they do not have the time capital, the energy capital, etc. But secondly, understand that existing businesses, like let's say big, successful businesses right now, can literally go to flames the moment that you do not do this in the current status quo. Literally look at Twitter, where Elon Musk bought a lot of shares, and it's like he just ruined the whole thing, exactly because they had different views to what the company actually wanted, and exactly when he buys a lot of shares, that is when he has so much power, and literally nobody can stop him. Twitter right now is not even called Twitter anymore, it's literally called X. We think at the end of the day it is very bad, and it's likely to happen to other big companies, exactly because super rich people who don't really have what it takes to run a business choose to run a business just because they feel like it, right? But thirdly, understand they cannot just frame you that foreign investors will not invest anymore at the end of the day because of three things. Understand that there are a lot of rich people all over the globe who obviously want profit, and a lot of the time they see of getting profit by investing into these businesses. You don't think they're suddenly all just going to stop investing into these businesses, and they're just going to like probably be less upfront, exactly because people are probably going to be very lazy to look up at these businesses and do a lot of like fact checking, exactly because so much of a risk. We think that's a totally fine. We're going to take that bullet. But secondly, B, understand that domestic investors therefore are more likely to opt into these businesses and take the place of these lower amount of foreign investors. And we think this is good because at the end of the day, when domestic investors are likely to opt in, this is because these foreign investors are less likely to be reckless, and that is when domestic investors see this as less of a risk to opt in. Previously, domestic investors who saw this as a risk, exactly because these foreign investors are recklessly investing, and that's when they don't want to invest. We think on our side of the house, we get that benefit. But C, understand that exactly when, like in the worst case scenario, these businesses might get less financial capital from these domestic investors because they might frame them as less rich. We think that's totally fine because when you have less money, that's when you feel less invincible and you're less reckless of your business. This is important for the longevity of a business. Why then is this argument important? We think it's important because of two things. Firstly, understand that foreign investors in developing countries are very, very bad because they're the ones who actually opt into a lot of businesses. So that means that like if you're a developing country, then your whole economy hinges on these foreign investors, and that's when you have less power over the developing country, right? But secondly, I think that's very easy for the business to be in the hands of foreign investors. It means that like if these foreign investors suddenly like are all from America, and America suffers an economic downfall, then your whole country also hinges on that country as well. On my second argument now, exactly why better businesses are only likely to happen on our side of the house. 3 points there as well. Firstly, understand that these foreign investors who actually opt in, or even the domestic investors like you tell you that are likely to opt in, will likely give you better comments and just be more helpful when running the business. 2 points here. A, we think it's going to be like because they have less quantity of business that they opt in, exactly as they do more research, they're probably going to find less businesses that they actually can opt in and be sure that they're not going to like suffer major harm from. But B, I think it's exactly because there's more at stake. When they understand that if this business like dies and they're gonna get like all the harm from loans and debt, that is exactly when they want to opt in because they don't want to lose all their money along with all their collateral along with it, right? But secondly, understand that the comments that these businesses will actually be better because of two things. First, I think it's clear because they have the same vision with these business owners, exactly because it's a partnership. You have to agree beforehand that we are people who have the same vision, have the same end goal, and so you can give comments that actually align with the business interests. This cannot happen on their side of the house and literally just shareholders who don't care. But B, understand that they actually know more about this business as a whole, exactly because they already did so much research about these businesses beforehand before they decided to become partners. This is something that's very accessible on our side of the house because we think like financial literacy, just impressive and wise spending and investing is only able to happen on our side of the house. But lastly, understand that these people, these foreign investors or even domestic investors, are more likely to give other investors. Two things. I think they're likely to become employees of this business as well, so they actually know what's happening. Exactly because they invest so much time into it, they might as well get paid for it and actually earn their 24/7 or like allocate a lot of their time there. But B, we think it's likely they're probably going to be more ready to give up money or other resources like actually hiring more people, just taking more money out of the bank, have to allocate to these businesses exactly because they know so much at stake. I've never been prouder to the post. Thank you. 1 minute to respond, 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Now we call upon the leader of opposition, here.
This is the leader of opposition of the House, Notice is and if you have your eyes, just raise your hand. Nice to meet you back then, and then I will stop my speech in 3, 2, and ladies and gentlemen, notice how when partnership is growing, like foreign investor will seize this as an opportunity, like maybe they investing some kind of amount of money and big, but they get the same impact as the one who invested bigger in the very first place. So we can see the inequality in the very get-go that achieved under the government of the house. Both government and opposition should argue which side provide like less risk for the actors in the very get-go. First, let's move on to my framing. What LLC looks like? LLC looks like A, the most of funding is from shares that invested by the investor in the very get-go. B, liable to extend their shares, and C, cannot held liable for any losses incurred by the company. So this is what LLC looks like. Like our mechanism, we will do it in A. We are only allow foreign investor to invest in LLC, but we are not abandoning the partnership. But they can be invested by the local investor in the very get-go. So we are not abandoning them in the very get-go. Local investor, we characterize this as 2A investment that the money that they get is not as big as foreign investor, obviously. B, they are able to like more analyzing because they invest on their local company at so on and so forth. How we characterize foreign investor? A, foreign investor has a lot of money that more than the local investor, obviously. B, they don't know like the real condition of the company itself because they invest in foreign in the very get-go. Urgency. Foreign investors have, I say before, have limited knowledge and analysis on company that not in their country in very get-go. B, the amount of foreign investor is really big. That's why when LLC can be invested, government side of the house should approve that why LLC still get funding from investor that the LLC characterized as most of the funding is from the share in very get-go. See, our side like protecting LLCs from a small amount of share in very get-go. Move on to my arguments. One, it provides safety net. 1A. Why is it a foreign investor? Like foreign investors are people that invest so much in the business, they can grow the business bigger. But local investor more understand with the situation of the company in their country in the very get-go. And partnership don't need that really much investment as I said before, when you're only allowing two partnerships, local can fulfill the amount of shares that need by LLC in the very get-go. So foreign investor that not really understand will provide more safety net because when they put like a small amount of share, they also get the small loss. No, thank you. So local can invest in partnership, also safety because like they are understand and the partnership funding is only not only from shares as I said before. So both partnership and LLC will become benefit under our side of the house. B, it's unfair. Like when partnership held liable in any events of loss, it's unfair. Why? Because one partnership invested by a foreign investor, for example, investor A invest 3% and foreign investor B invest like maybe 1%. They get the same losses and spread out on equally. Notice how like foreign investor B will loses more money, even their contribution is not that much in very get-go. No, thank you. This is an inequality in very first place. When the company profit, it will also inequality also for the big investor. Big investor also get the same profit, the same impact with the small investor in very get-go. See why LLC? LLC is mechanized as like most of the funding from the shares. This is like this is like really, really needed to be able to grow the company in the very get-go. Like LLCs is dependent on the shares. So that's why we oppose this motion. When LLC not allowed by the government or the house to be invested by foreign, they will become harmed very, very badly because there's no funding from the foreign that we know the funding is really, really big. So government side of the house is trying to like make the LLCs is make the LLCs is lose or bankrupting because there's no investment that given by the government or the house in the very first place. Move on to my second argument about the benefit and harm. I will provide three benefit and harm. A, about the government. When the risk is not high, like foreign investor will incentivize to invest more in LLCs as I said before. So the government will benefit it because like both partnership and LLCs is growing under our side of the house in the very first place. So government will get the growth in economy as will grow in the economy because both LLCs and partnership will become successful under our side of the house. And B, about the company. Like when we are only allowing LLCs, foreign investor, all of them will go to invest in there. So what's happened? What's happened? But if we follow government side of the house, LLCs like get small funding from the local investor. So this is not good in the very first place because LLCs can grow fast. LLCs can grow fast under government side of the house. Under opposition, LLCs can grow faster because they get funded by foreign investors who have a lot of money, as I characterized before. Like the company itself like will be able to reach profit like more likely because they get a lot of funding our side of the house, or at very least in our side of the house it's balanced under the LLCs and also the partnership, but in their side of the house they only like benefiting the partnership in the very get-go and harming also the foreign investor and also harming the other actor. See about foreign investor. Like foreign investor provide more safety net. When foreign investor will lose less and win more, they are able to predict how much the risk that they invest on the very get-go. Like under government side of the house, they are trying to harming foreign investors that they get a bigger loss and when they invest a small amount in the very get-go. Like foreign investor will like invest more because the safety net is provided under our side of the house. As I said in my first argument before, they are think like the investment will become profit and equal and like it's balanced. So if they invest small amount, they get a small benefit or a small risk. But if they invest like a big amount, they also get a big amount of profit and also big risk So they can predict this kind of thing. So they are able to more invest in the in the in in the business in the first place. Like foreign will run under government side of the house. Foreign will run because when they invest small, like when they invest like small amount of thing, but they get a big risk in the very first place. So this is the harm that apply under government side of the house. They are not able to get the profit from investing, and they think it's like a loss investment. It will affect the other actors like company and government. But under our side, it will incentivize like for investors to invest more, and that's why we are so proud to oppose. Yeah, oppose. Thank you.
Okay, I get this. Oh, To your eyes and just verbally, I'm going to start my speech in three, two, yeah. We need to realize that fluctuations happen for everyone. Everyone is a vulnerable actor in the economic world because we cannot predict the market situation, right? I mean, the fact that foreign investors are possible to give money to countries that are not stable, meaning that stability of inequality of economic activities and also the health. Well, if we can prove to you, if we can answer the concern of how local investors and how they only exist under the of the house, but if we can prove to you that this also exists under the house, we will do it, right? Two reasons why we have lots of it. First, this is not about this deal. This is not about the success of LLC's partners method. It's about the business with the business that we have given to, right? So secondly, then we're confused on why they put foreign investors as the vulnerable actor or as the main actor in this debate when this is not a debate about how to benefit foreign investors at all. Even if this is a debate about foreign investors at all, we need to prove why foreign investors is enough worthy of a vulnerable actor in this debate, right? This is the question that likelihood analysis, no explanation coming from them. Moving on to my rebuttal step. Firstly, is it that foreign investors will only harm the business partnership in under other class? Two responses. Firstly, exactly when they're the vulnerable business, this is how these that this is how they're more prone to bankruptcy exactly because we use the money on our own. And then in their case, we should help, and that means that they're citing to us that this is also the vulnerable aspect of this debate, and they should help them more. If we question then, business partnerships on the other side of the house will be able to get profits? There's no likelihood analysis on them or no alternative from them, right? The only way to do this is when foreign investors came into the debate, right? But even if foreign investors do harm the partnership whatsoever, there's still domestic investors, which I'm going to explain to you why that is likely on my expenses, okay? Now, moving on to the second rebuttal then about how they said that foreign investors don't have enough economic power and no business will be helped. Firstly, we talked to why this will be the only case for us when that means that if you portray that foreign investors don't have enough economic power, this goes the same from you. For you, that means that business on LLC won't be helped enough, right? We question then why would you point out that argument? But okay, comparatively, it's even worse because what is the difference? What is the delta between LLC and the art of the house with our partnership? Is essentially LLC has no discussions whatsoever between their shares investors and the company's vision, meaning that if you can buy shares, you can just buy them without any discussing or any agreement whatsoever. Now, exclusively under Arts of the House, when a partnership do happen, in order for a partnership can happen, exactly because they have the same amount of power and partnership, then agreements and discussions will exclusively happen under Arts of the House, right? But thirdly, then on the third rebuttal about how they said that partnership on the Arts of the House will experience twice the loss, we think it's untrue because first of all, that even if we do have debt whatsoever, exactly because there's foreign partners, because there's foreign investors, they're the ones who's going to help us because they know that the business will be prone to die if they don't act upon it. And exactly because they're foreign investors, that means they care about their image more, and therefore they should help us. But even if so, Amanda have already said that splitting up is also likely. So this means that there are also other alternatives to this, right? But okay, moving on to my extensions then about how they said that domestic investors will still exist under us. Our extension on why domestic investors will still exist in our of the house, right? Exactly how Amanda have already portrayed to you that foreign investors are going to be highly selected, meaning that the ones that can invest in it invest in under our of the house are curated with high money power to invest. So yes, let's engage in this scenario on how they said that investors are not going to be that many. There's not going to be many investors that can do invest. Now, we think this is good because this has proven that there's still a possibility of having domestic investors on the rest of the house too, right? This can balance out the power of foreign investors. Why is it likely? Firstly, domestic investors are likely to apply for a partnership because they have the same vision as the company, and this is only true on the rest of the house when discussions do happen in partnerships and not in ours, right? And as any business person, they want profit. Knowing that there are foreign businesses that are already coming in, this would mean a better safety net and a better knowledge implemented, and they know that the success rate of that company will be higher, would be higher exactly because there's foreign investors, right? This is obviously real domestic investors in and want to invest too. Secondly, this means that this balance out the investors that exist under us as a house, both with those under us as a house, we exclusively get both domestic and also foreign investors, right? But secondly, then how can they balance foreign? How can domestic investors balance out the foreign investors? Exactly when they're in a partnership and not in an LLC, everyone has the same power of opinions. This means the fact that we've proven to you there will be a domestic investor, then economic colonization won't happen if they do want to bring up that argument on the second speaker or whatever. That means that case already fall if they do want to bring that up, right? This will only happen under us of the house the moment that partnership exists because we have the same level of the amount of shares they do in the company. Alternatively, in LLC, what would happen is that someone would have like 60% of the company and others would have 40% of the company. This means this is not going to be equal, right? But then why does the comparative then of why LLC is so bad? Firstly, this looks like how LLC has the concept of shares. So let's take a parallel analysis of when Goto opened for IPO. People opt in exactly because a lot of people don't want to miss out on investing into this investing into this because people think it's going to be good, right? Meaning that if LLC is going to have the same much amount of hype, knowing that they're going to be foreign investors, this would be bad because then a lot of people would have irrational decisions into coming into just buying those stocks, knowing that the market will still fluctuate, right? Like how Goto has impacted a lot of people, and meaning making a lot of people a lot of people economics are even lost because they think that Goto will be successful, but their stocks just went down, right? How in other cases of how when game stocks are high, a lot of individuals opt into the irrational, a lot of the irrational decision of buying those stocks. Stocks are fluctuations, meaning that more individuals would be prone economically wise in the rest of their house, right? For all those reasons, I'm very proud to propose. Really Prime Ministers from 6 minutes and 59 seconds. Now we call upon the Deputy Leader of Opposition, Liu. This is the second speaker of the opposition of the House, in Mount Caesar. My speech in 3, 2, we say that vision on partnership is going to be better in our side of the house. Why? Because we see that a partner, because in our side of the house, we're going to separate where is investor going to be going to be going to go to LLC, and we say that the domestic business is going to be partnerships and so forth. Right? We say that why a lot of domestic domestic investors in the business don't want to go for a partnership because we see that a lot of big businesses have their own vision that have like a big vision that they can't follow from the very first place. It's different from different from the vision, right? The moment that partnership is going to be focused on the local businesses, these people are going to be more accepted because the vision is there, right? Because the vision is going to be the same and it's going to help them for the growth of their company itself, right? And yeah, moving on to impact. I'm going to talk about the impact, how LLC is going to be opening the gate for the company to invest because like the safety net that Brian has brought to you, right? And why it is going to creating more safety net towards these businesses because you're going to invest more. They're going to invest more, and only responsible because they only have to responsible for that amount of money that they're going to invest on, right? And they're going to be invest more because they know exactly how they know exactly at the end of the day if this company going to if this business going to be going to loss, I'm going to pay this amount of money. So I can invest more on this amount of money because I have the capability to do that, right? And for the local companies then, it is going to be more safety for local companies to do partnership because we're targeting all of the locals, all of the domestic partnership, right? It is actually opening the market of economy itself because now we are opening the bigger chance of customer. We are opening the bigger chance for this company to dive into economic growth, right? And if we mix this if we mix this foreign investor to the partnership itself, the foreign partnership is going to close off the opportunities because they're going to because they're going to go all in for the partnership itself, right? And because the funding it's sponsored so and so forth, and most likely to go this, right? And small and the locals going to have limited opportunities for them to enter the economic world, so on and so forth. Right? And it's hard for locals to grow because all of these shadows of the big companies, so on and so forth. Right? And we'll say that it is going to building more confidence to local to investment world because now they know a lot of small a lot of locals is going to go for partnership. So I have like the this the businesses that have the same standard for me, the businesses that are not as big as the foreign company, right? So they're going to have more confidence to invest on the very first place. Right? And why it is important because the moment these people the domestic people going to have the ability to invest to confidence to invest on this economy is going to help the economy of the country itself, right? The economy is going to be better in our side of us. It's going to be better in our countries because now businesses have the capacity. Small businesses have the capacity to invest on the partnership and so forth. Right? It is great for developing countries. It is great for developing countries. Moreover, it's because of first the first it's going to be more likely for the big businesses to invest more because of the LLC and so forth, right? And it is going to be a more a creative equation. It is going to create a better understanding about investment to the local businesses, right? And well, it is going to create a better understanding about investment for local businesses because they know that a partnership has a bigger risk if they go for a partnership. Like it is the burden of shares funding, so on and so forth. Right? The moment they're going to go into partnership, they're going to be more serious, be more they're going to research about this partnership because they don't want to lose a lot of money, right? And by their doing that, actually they dive into the economic growth, so on and so forth. Right? And it is going to and why it is better in our opposition side of the house because it is going to create a bias towards the big company if they want to invest on the partnership itself because the loss of investment, right, is going to happen. The loss of investment is going to happen in government side of us. The big company is going to to think that I spend this amount of money and then I have to if this loss I have to sacrifice all of my money, so and so forth, right? And it is going to create a bias that I don't want to invest on this country because of this partnership, so on and so forth. We provide we provide all of these we provide big businesses to invest on our side of the house about the LLC because all of the things that it is more safer, like what Brian has brought it to you, right? So we say that by all of that, we believe that it is likely for us to go for an investor to invest on LLC. So it's about to oppose this.
The decision is the opposition.
So of course, I can see teammates, my teachers, yeah, that allowed us to grow as I was in a later time, and my speech in to panels, we want three things. Number one, rational investment because that is what sustains businesses. Secondly, good foreign involvement. Thirdly, more domestic investors and involvement. All things that we have managed to successfully prove on our house and they have failed to prove any of the benefits. Three classes we support. First, on a class of business safety. Second, a class of the nature of foreign involvement. Last, on a class of local investment. First class on businesses. They tell you that because foreign investors are richer and more knowledgeable, that automatically means businesses have a safety net. How is this enough when Amanda's whole first argument explains to you why they actually take away the safety net, right? They tell you that economic outcome on their side is bad because there will be more failing partnerships on their side of the house that lead to more bankruptcy. Right? A. Business owners get more letters on their side because they have a variety of foreign investors, right? 12% from China, 20% from Japan. They feel like they have a lot of support from foreign investors, when in reality, the nature of LLCs is that they don't invest in companies because they're fully confident that they will succeed. It's because they don't have a lot to lose anyway if you fail. That's why they invest anyway, in the case that the 20-30% off chance that you're majorly profitable. What we get on our side is more successful investors, more consideration, which means that we only want to co-own businesses that are confident will succeed, have similar vision and goals and interests. But the trade-off here is that we're making is that bad businesses with bad management fail quickly because they get less investment from foreign investors. But that's okay because they were going to fail anyway, because the illusion of a safety net only means that they rack up more losses, more debt, which domestic shareholders will have to be majorly liable of, exactly because foreign investors have lower liability on their house. So how do you weigh this then? Number one, the capital advantage of foreign investors on their side is insignificant in this debate, especially if it proves to you that it's more likely to harm by a false confidence. Also, this is inexclusive because Amanda also already explained that there's a variety and there's a multitude of rich investors in developing nations within the national scale as well. But secondly, them being richer becomes more relevant anyway in LLCs because they're not going to invest that much of their capital by virtue of them only investing in small percentages. They don't believe that they can exploit these companies to fulfill ulterior motives and foreign interests. Now, moving on to the second question of the nature of foreign involvement. Number one, we do concede that by virtue of being partners, it's probably likely that the amount of influence that foreign investors have is larger. Why is this unlikely to harm sovereignty of the economy? Because the biggest delta here is that in the process of getting into a partnership, contracts are involved in which you have to discuss your goals, your interests must align first. This is to say that even if it includes foreign influence, it's foreign influence that supports the development of benefits for your national economy. While on their side, in LLCs, sure they get more, exactly because they get more foreign investors, it means that they're more present in more companies within the nation. And secondly, the nature of LLCs is that you can buy shares at any time, which means that foreign investors can opt in and out of easily. Why is that bad? We need to take the most obvious example here, where it's likely for that intervention to be bad exactly because they don't have contractual agreements to align vision. That's when malicious and self-serving interests come in on their side of the house. Take the biggest example of this in status quo, where Elon Musk is able to take over, rebrand, and destroy Twitter exactly because of the mechanism of shares. That's what happens on their side of the house when you have more foreign intervention in 1,000 companies in all sectors. But it is also likely that that intervention is going to be banned. And lastly, they can opt in and out. The foreign investors can opt in and out easily, and that's exactly what makes the economy fluctuate because the amount of shares and who owns it just changes all the time. That means that there's no economic stability on their side of the house, like with how GameStop, where in the end, people involved just suffered a major loss exactly because of this fluctuation. So how do we weigh this here? Number one, just already pointed out that the most vulnerable actors here isn't foreign at all, which means that the state, which means that the house in this motion is the national state, the government. So we better cater to national interest on our side as we're going to prove that the motion demands. But secondly, even if we say on the best case scenario where foreign investors are in fact the major actor in this debate, well, we still better cater to them anyway because obviously the profit that they gain is larger by virtue of them being an owner, but also because they have more input, not just silent spectators that cannot control how their money is used. Lastly, on the fact of local investment, what best explains to you is how we're able to propagate local investment. And this is why LLCs will not fail on our side, Brian, because exactly when there's a gap left by foreign investors who want to play it safe, then we place it, that's where domestic investors will come in and fill in their place. And we don't really have to explain the importance of this because Second also agrees their goal is also to get more local investment. But why is local involvement better on our side of the house? I think number one, Amanda already told you that locals opt in more when businesses are less reckless, exactly because they don't have that false safety net and false confidence from foreign investors. But second, we also need to take down this notion that foreign LLCs means locals can opt in with less risk. Because if what they want is for more local involvement, it's unavoidable then that it also means they have to take on more risk on their side of the house as well. And I think ZOO's argument about how it's going to be hard for locals to get jobs has already been rebutted by just a sentence, so why bring it up again, right? So one last third. So how do we weigh this then? We weigh this by saying that we have provided more likelihood of how local investors are able to access more involvement within the nation. I don't think as so far as like second speaker, they've explained that likelihood, and I think it's too late for it to work. And lastly, one clarification before I end this. Our case is absolutely not contradictory because we are talking about two scenarios here. A, in the scenario where foreign investors are good, then and good intention, that means they get more benefit on our side via more involvement, via more input, and also better aligned visions and goals. But B, in the options that they're bad, we already explained to you why on-site opposition, they have more capacity to charge because of the nature of LLC, where they can opt in and out quickly, where they can buy more shares and turn the tide of the company, change the original visions and goals. For all those reasons, I'm very, very proud to this.
Government whip spends 6 minutes and 38 seconds. Now we call upon the opposition whip, Yogi.
That's okay. Hi everyone. Opposition week here. Did not expect to get the finals, but yeah. I guess thanks for my two teammates here for carrying me all the way here. Thanks to Andin for accompanying us, even though she's on quite a holiday. Thanks to everyone at this competition as well for making it really, really fun. Hopefully I don't insult everyone. Starting next week. Starting my speech in one, I think government's entire case relies on whether or not these foreign investors are able to actually analyze and know what these partnerships or LLCs and whatnot and these companies look like on other countries that they don't know much about. Look, all they say about is, oh, foreign investors are gonna be able are going to be more motivated to research regarding these companies that they're investing to. But sure, we understand that they're going to be they're going to be motivated to research, and they're going to do so, right? But we don't. But to answer this question, you have to first analyze what actually creates loss and bankruptcy and actually bad stuff happening inside of a company. Usually, ladies and gentlemen, it's not something you can find by just simply opening their site, their website, or just looking at their track records, right? It's something more deep than that. Look at Blizzard, for example, ladies and gentlemen. Sexual harassment happened in Blizzard, and it resulted in a bunch of layoffs, a bunch of investment getting out of Blizzard and whatnot. This is not something you can know. This is not something you can know as a foreign investor, because it's simply just not something these companies actually show you. Why is that the case? Because these companies want investors, right, ladies and gentlemen? So if that's the case, they want to maintain their image in the very first place. So if that's the case, then why should they feel any need to show that? Hold on, I'll take that out later. Why should they need to show these other people that that they have all these flaws? Obviously, what government is propagating is literally just allowing these companies to cheat their way into the system and all. And I think that's just really, really bad, right? I have two clashes here. I think we're going to talk about foreign investors and domestic investors, just like how government wants it to be. Let's do it then. Under government, they talk about how people are going to be more research because of risk and whatnot. Well, I already proved this is wrong, right, ladies and gentlemen, because of the previous examples and whatnot. But they also talk about how foreign investors will be more incentivized to help partnerships and whatnot. But under our side, that's also non-exclusive at all, because I think the idea of investing for foreign investors especially is different from other types of investment, right? And foreign investors invest because they want to make profit, because the only reason these foreign investors can invest outside in the first place is because they already have the capital to do so, and they want more, right, ladies and gentlemen? So as a result, I don't really understand how these foreign investors are actually going to are actually not going to help LLCs under our side, even though there's less risk. Obviously, they're still gonna do so because they still want the money they get from the LLCs and whatnot. I think the reason for this is unexclusive under government. But what does opposition give you regarding foreign investor? I think Brian brings a good point regarding how foreign investor is not only how we are not only going to be benefiting foreign investors, but we're also going to be benefiting the entire government or the country or whoever this house is, right? I think Brian brings a fair argument regarding how foreign investors will actually how foreign investors will profit, and because the risk is so low, and because the risk under LLC is not that tangible, even if some of them screw up under what government said, even if some of them do screw up, these foreign investors are not actually going to be scared away at all. Meaning that these foreign investors are going to be willing to invest more later anyway, which is clearly going to increase the economic pie of the government itself. I think this argument is unanswered, because under government, comparatively, what you get, these foreign investors are actually going to be so volatile, because the moment they see that these, especially because I'm going under government, they can only invest in this partnership, which meaning that let's say US invests in Indonesia, right? Look, if one partnership in Indonesia fails, and US have to take, and one of the companies in US or one of the investors in US have to take the brunt of the force of it, then obviously it's going to be really. Then obviously the other investors are going to learn from that mistake and not invest again. Meaning that this continuous investment only happens under government. Then, yeah, go ahead.
It's why that people obviously do know what's happening. That's literally because they probably already did their research, that they probably mandated the moment they made those contacts in the first place. Like, where exactly do you think you are discussing with this debate? Is new matter of
It's not new matter. Brian has explained it. I think you just need to open your ears a little bit. But secondly, I think regardless of whether you have contracts or not, would these contracts really show you all the details of the company, regardless of whether that company is actually going to be disbenefited from that contract? I mean, if I'm going to make a contract with a really big person outside, I'm not going to show them all of my very, very bad things, right? I don't really understand what government is trying to pull here. But let's talk about domestic investor sides, because that's what they want to pull, right? They talk about local investors, about how they're going to local investors are going to opt in more under our side. They're how they're going to come into investing more in their own companies because finally these foreign companies are being less reckless and whatnot. I don't understand how the prerequisite of domestic investors investing foreign investors are not foreign investors not being not for foreign investors not being reckless because under our side, right, if you think about it logically, investors clearly understand more about what foreign investors is, meaning that under opposition, not only are we allowing them to yeah, okay, sure, uh, we are allowing them to be investing in partnerships, but it does not mean we are subjecting them to risk. Why is that the case? Because we understand that even though the partnerships have their risk, I think domestic investors will have more knowledge about the companies they're investing to. Why is that the case? Because they live in the damn same country, and the and the information they receive is a bit more contact, right? Look, if you live in imagine this: if you live in America and you live in Indonesia, I think you would understand big American companies more than big Indonesian companies more than big American companies, right, ladies and gentlemen? Because maybe it shows up in your local news. Maybe you pass by their company just a little bit when you go drive to work and whatnot. I think domestic investors will be absent from risk under our side of the house because because they won't act because they will actually know more about the company than what government is saying with their holy contracts and whatnot. Because I think simply that all of these companies want to have investors, and therefore they're trying to hide everything. Therefore, contracts cannot solve this. Very proud to oppose.
The opposition group haven't really been people. Now we call upon the opposition group. Here. Okay, this is the opposition reply, and I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. First thing first, government side of the house is even not able to prove why LLCs also benefit under their side of the house in the very first place. They live in the world that imaginative where they are thinking LLC is bad, LLC is harmful, etc., etc. Like the status quo is obviously saying that that LLC is still active in the world. Like your side is trying to forget this kind of thing in the very get-go. So there's a dismissive on the government side of the house in the very first place. Now move on to my questions. One, which such benefits for the company in the very first place. Like what's the opposition side of the house already achieved until now? A, for partnership. They don't need like a lot of shares. We already characterize that partnership is not need a lot of shares in the very first place. The investment can come from different things in the very get-go. So we believe local investor is enough for invest in partnership, and it's already proven successfully in the very get-go. B, for LLCs. They need a lot of money, so like they can't live by local investment very get-go, like what the government side of the house is trying to propose. To be able to grow, they will be invested by foreign investor that who is have a lot of money, as I said before in my argument, and also already clarification by my third speaker in the very first place. What the government side of the house is trying to achieve? They are trying to achieve two things. A, their side will somehow benefiting the startup. B, like they also talking about like domestic investor can happen because like foreign investor no longer exists. This is obviously really dismissive because what opposition side of the house already responds. A, domestic investor is already exists in status quo in the very first place. I don't know why government putting this in argument. B, startup will be more benefit under our side of the house in the very first place because my third speaker already clarification because there's so much, for example, for example, so much foreign venture capital that able to give a lot of boost in terms of the shares to the startup in the very get-go. The reason why startup is really like developed in the world that exists right now because foreign investment very get-go. Second class, which side benefit to foreign investors very get-go. What opposition side of the house already give you? A, it will create fairness between foreign investor and very get-go. B, with the lacking of information by foreign investor, as we characterized before, they are provided safety net layers under our side of the house. What's the government side of the house give to you? The only thing that government side of the house, like they talking about, like people will more research about the condition because of the risk that really big. What opposition side of the house is trying to respond? A, there's the government side of the house is somehow like manipulating the word in the word that exists in the very first place, because why domestic investors know the fluctuation and able to analyze correctly, i.e. for example partnership that domestic, but when like it comes to like when they are investing in foreign unknown companies, many of people just like take risks whether they will lose or win. As I said before in the startup argument, this is what foreign investors do. Our side provide many layer of safety net for foreign investors in the very first place. This is a sticking point because governments are the house increasing the risk of foreign investors that really get through. Notice how how harmful it will be if we follow government side of the house. A, they are thinking like domestic investor is really that strong with a lot of power, and they think that this is able to fulfill all of the safety net they provide in previous place. This is the manipulating the real world will exist under government side of the house. B, obviously LLCs is being sacrificed by government side of the house in the very get-go because really badly, because they think that LLCs is really bad and really harmful. So that's why they are doing that. See, they are harming foreign investor also by making them like put in the big risk and making them run in the very first place. The only benefit that they give is obviously about domestic investor, but you're sacrificing all of the actors. Instead of that, following our side of the house will benefiting everyone in very get-go. E, they are not understand the characterization of foreign and domestic investor itself that we are already trying to oppose, and that's why we are so proud to oppose. Thank you.
The opposition declines 4 minutes. Now we call upon the government reply to I'm going to start.
Very so first, I'm actually going to brief to you in this debate. Firstly, about foreign investors. Secondly, about business availability, and lastly, about economics of earning. First, Cash, about foreign investors. To tell you two things. First, why are they not actually vulnerable active from the get-go, unlike what the LO wants to tell you? First, is A, is because they have money and small businesses don't, and therefore not the ones that are vulnerable. They have safety net outside of these businesses. B, we tell you that it's kind of purity of the government. You have to consider that, and they only consider that in the world. It's very big. But secondly, they said government harms their people because foreign investors opt out, and we tell you it's untrue from the get-go because two things. A, they still want profit at the end of the day, and they think that this is profitable exactly after they do a lot of research, and they will opt into it. We don't think foreign investors are just going to opt out simply because there's a lot of work. Obviously, getting money in any way, shape, or form does take a lot of work. But B, they are still domestic investigators because obviously there are less risk of these reckless foreign investors, and they know about these businesses, exactly what they tell you. That's exactly why these domestic investigators will opt in, and that's why it's going to be enough. And that proves then that their question about foreign investigators, foreign investors doesn't really matter, right? But second class now, but the actual failure or survivability of these businesses at the end of the day, which probably is the one that impacts the most people, right? Two things here. First, they tell you that which side of the house will get more business failure is our side because we get less money and the business side. He told us, however, from PM is that exactly when there is less money, that is when less reckless things happen. When you do not get an impact of like a lot of financial syringes into your small business, that is when you do not feel invincible, and that is when you make smaller decisions at the end of the day. And that means that they're probably more open to ideas when they're not like thinking that their business is the best business in the world, and when they're actually more likely to accept their vision and think that it's from their investors. But secondly, we tell you it's more likely to fail on their side of the house for A, small businesses, exactly because these foreign investors have low liability and they have no capacity to be responsible, exactly because they invest in so many businesses. And B, big businesses are going to be so much more likely to fail on their side of the house. Like look at Twitter, for example, and Elon Musk and how much impact he's actually done. Obviously, no good ones. And like GameStop, when we tell you that people just opt in and out. We tell you then that they're more likely to happen or more likely to be successful on our side of the house, exactly because these investors are more likely to give comments and give good quality comments, more investment, and exactly because they can afford to do so, and exactly because they know more. Understand that you cannot just tell us that these people will not know anything about these companies, because exactly the moment that you sign this partnership, you sign a contract where you obviously have an obligation to make sure they tell you everything before you sign. If they want to keep information, withhold information, they probably will not sign the contract in the first place. We don't think opposition work being dismissive actually helps them in this case. Why is this discussion important? We think this discussion is important because of two things. Even first, even when DPM fails claims their goals to be local involvement, we still get more. But B, or second, we fulfill the goal of benefiting people because businesses get less money and whatnot. The second argument then, why exactly, third question, why exactly is economics are remaining better? We tell you that they've been unresponsive to this point from the get-go. We tell you that LLC still exists, yes, opposite to what they actually think, but we tell you it's so much better on our side of the house when it's not sovereign investors being the ones who actually opt into these LLC methods, right? Two things here. First, we tell you that the influence is better on our side of the house because these people are supportive of the vision and mission of these companies, which probably is obviously aligned with the vision and mission of that country. That's why it's important. So even if there's a lot of foreign investment and foreign involvement, we think it's good involvement, contrary to what they think on their side of the house. But secondly, we tell you that so much worse on their side of the house when LLCs can have malintent and do things very badly. They can very easily destroy the market of a developing country, which is like very possible by just selling all their shares and causing a whole trend, and even possibly causing a recession. The worst case scenario, they ultimately buy a majority of the shares, take a hold of their business, and then sell it and destroy the economy. Right? This is a very important point because at the end of the day, even if businesses flourish more on their side of the house, we tell you that's very bad for a developing country because we tell you from my speech that developing countries are likely to pinpoint or likely to focus on these investors, and therefore it is likely that this country will not flourish when their businesses, when their economy is taken hold by these foreign investors. We never reply to this, and therefore at this point our Kentucky stands strong on side government. I've never been prouder to oppose. Thank you.
The government replies,